I am broadcasting live from the basement of my house. It is episode 218 of Dylan Knows Turkey Coma. Happy Thanksgiving weekend, everybody. Sorry about that. Nah, I'm not really. It's my show. I do what I want to do. I got to get those 6 dislikes. So I keep building those up a little bit more, which is great. If you look at my videos on YouTube, my last video had 6. Before that had 6, then down to 4, down to 4, 3, 3. So I got my haters out there, but you know what? You're watching the video and you're giving me views, so I don't give a frig if you dislike it or not. F you, it's my show. Do whatever the hell I want to do. So go ahead, dislike that, you sons of bitches. I don't care. This is my show, damn it. And I'm going to talk about whatever the damn well I feel like it, because today is a new episode of Dylan Knows. It is Thanksgiving weekend. Kind of depressing. Because now our 4-day weekend has just about been reduced to 1 day. Today's Saturday night. I'm doing Saturday Night Live right now, 9:30. I'm going to try to wrap this up soon because I might be doing something a little later tonight, if you know what I'm talking about. Yeah. Anyway, what are we going to talk about today? We're going to talk about all kinds of bullshit tonight. All kinds of crazy stuff. We'll talk about Thanksgiving. We'll talk about comic book shops. We'll talk about comic books. We'll talk about outer space. We'll talk about deaths. We'll talk about hell no to Gyllenhaal as Batman. We'll talk about Pokemon Go. Breaking news for those people out there who are Pokemon Go fans. I'll get into this a little later in the show, but actually maybe, I'll start right now. Who cares? This is breaking news. I'm going to tell you right now. If you don't know already, for those who are playing Pokemon Go, go outside right this instant. Farfetch'd has been released. I repeat, Farfetch'd has been released. I have 3 of them right now. Farfetch'd has been released. Now, I got all them out of here. Let me explain what that's all about. When Pokemon Go started last year, they decided to make the game a little more interesting. They would do regional Pokemon that only certain regions of the world would be able to get. So, I don't know, not to feel superior, but I mean to make it a little more interesting, because now, if you want to complete your Pokédex, you're going to either have to go to a foreign country to get these, or wait for trading to come, which is going to come probably sometime next year, and trade a bunch of your good Pokemon to get the one to finish your Pokédex for those who have them. Or you can spoof, which is illegal, by the way, so don't even do that, and I'm even going to tell you what that is. Or if you have a friend who lives in these foreign countries, they can, if you give them your information to get into Pokemon Go, they can go through their phone and enter your information and be honest as if you're down there. You can start picking up Pokemon down there, and then they'll ship it back to you. So that's another way you can do it. However, with Niantic, who is the creator of the game, what they've been doing is they've been doing special holiday events and stuff like that. The Halloween event just ended, which they gave more ghost Pokemon spawns, gave more candies for catching Pokemon, and also released a couple of the Gen 3 ghosts. Gen 3 should be released next month, or at least by the beginning of the year. So when Thanksgiving rolled around last year, what they did for Thanksgiving is they gave double experience points and double Stardust. Now, the experience points will help you level up. I just became a level 33 today. So it took me a while because I needed 750,000 experience points. So I'm now level 33. And now to get to level 34, I need 1 million experience points. Now you get experience points for catching Pokemon, for evolving them, for taking down raid bosses. I think even taking down gyms, you might get some stuff as well, and catching Pokemon, stuff like that. So you get experience points. So that's how you build them up. During this Thanksgiving event, they gave us double that. So this year, what Niantic decided, they decided to mix it up a little bit, because remember, not all countries celebrate Thanksgiving. We are the only one that celebrates Thanksgiving this weekend. Canada had one last month, and I don't even know if any other countries have them. So instead of doing a Thanksgiving event, they did a worldwide goal event, and I'll tell you about that in a second. So what that comes back around to is our country, America, you can only get a Taurus, which is a bull with two tails. So only people who live in the United States can get Taurus. When you go into Mexico, you can get Heracross only in Mexico. You can only get Corsala in the Caribbean. You can get Kangaskhan only in Australia. It's like a kangaroo type of thing with a baby in a pouch. Over in Europe, you get Mr. Mime. And over in the Asian countries, Japan, Korea, China, you get Farfetch'd. Now, Farfetch'd is a duck Pokemon. And one of the, going back to this worldwide event, they had different levels. Niantic wanted us to catch 3 billion Pokemon from Sunday, this past Sunday, to this Sunday. So within that time span, we had to catch 3 billion Pokemon. Now, not you personally, but the entire world. The United States, China, Japan, South America, Canada, Australia, Africa, India, everywhere, Russia. They all had to catch Pokemon, and they added them all up, and then you would hit different levels. If you got, I think it was if you got like 100 million or something like that, you'd get the double XP to begin with. So we hit that one pretty early on. If you get like 2.5 million, you get the double, or the 2 million or whatever, you would get the double Stardust and increase spawns both in both levels. And then if you hit the 3 billion, then they would release Farfetch'd in countries you can't get them: America, Australia, Europe, Canada, Mexico, South America, India. So, but what about those people in Asia who already get Farfetch'd all the time? Well, they would unlock Kangaskhan, which you can only get in Australia. So they get one that they can't get, and we get one we can't get. So we hit 3 billion Pokemon sometime this evening. I guess it was right around 7:45, I guess, maybe close to 8 o'clock. We hit 3 billion, and they released Farfetch'd. And almost immediately after we saw that, one spawned, and the whole family got ours. So Pokemon Go fans, go outside right now. Farfetch'd is out now. And remember, we only have 48 hours to get them. So Monday night, probably around 8 o'clock on Monday night, you won't be able to get Farfetch'd again unless you go over to Asia. So go out there tonight, go out there tomorrow all day, and go catch some Farfetch'd. My family, I already have 3. So that's a big deal. That happened today. Something else that happened today is a big story that, oh my God, James. I have no idea what that's about. Maybe it'll come to me. I don't know. No, I don't know. So this other story happened today also. And it's all connected to what's going on in my local comic book store. Now, you've heard me talk about this before. I absolutely love my comic book store, Cards, Comics, and Collectibles in Reisterstown. They have moved to a new location, much bigger location, almost 10 times the size of the one they had before, in a much closer spot, onto 51 Main Street. So they're literally on Main Street in Reisterstown, which is a big deal because Main Street does a whole bunch of all these events, stuff like that, and the comic book store was never able to really get involved with those because they were in a strip mall a little bit off of the beaten path. But now they are on Main Street proper, so they'll be able to, next year, they'll be able to be involved in the trick or treat that we do on Main Street. The holiday, they'll be involved in the holiday event, which comes next Saturday. They were in Small Business Saturday event that we had today on Main Street as well, so they were involved with that. And then on top of that, I am ecstatic to find out what they're going to do for Free Comic Book Day next year, because it'll be the first weekend in May. They have a bigger location, more space, and they'll be able to get more people, and it's on Main Street, so they'll be able to maybe make a big deal about it and get people on Main Street to come up to the store and check out and get their free comic books, so you'll be able to do it on Main Street, because people walk up and down Main Street all the time because it's a nice little walk. There's all kinds of shops you can look into. There's a couple of churches. There's a small little car dealership, nice restaurants, some consignment shops, antique shops. The Cow is there. The schools are there. The library, the cemetery, the firehouse, a whole bunch of stuff is all up and down Main Street. At Dunkin' Donuts. So, people walk up there all the time, particularly in the spring, when it's nice warm. Plus, if you're a Pokemon Go player, jumping back on that, there are 3 gyms on Main Street, and there's a number of Pokestops. So we walk up and down Main Street all the time. So this is really big for them. So they moved there on November 1st, and it wasn't totally completed until this past week. So they decided, you know what? They always do a big Thanksgiving weekend sale, 4-day sale. Technically, 4 days because they were closed on Thanksgiving. They did a preview day on Wednesday. They were closed Thursday, and Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So Friday, they had a ribbon cutting ceremony to officially open the shop. I wasn't going to miss that. My wife had to work. The kids were going to be fine. This was at 10 o'clock in the morning. Kids were hanging out in the house looking at their tablets. I locked the door and I drove up to the comic book store. I was dressed as the Riddler. And I walked over and I made it just in time. There was a small little crowd outside of Cars, Comics, and Collectibles, and they had the big ribbon. And one of the business guys on Reisterstown made a speech about Mark, the owner. And they cut the ribbon and opened the store. Everybody went inside the store. They had cake and cupcakes, and everybody got a chance to look around. I met a House of Delegates member was in town, so I met him. The head of the Reisterstown, community or whatever was there as well. And there was another local businessman by the name of Dr. Jay Alisi, who has his headquarters on Main Street, and you had to vote for him. So I voted for him because he was the right guy. And then some friends of Mark's, and then other people, customers, loyal customers who've been there all the time. So I was there, and a bunch of the politicians want to get pictures taken with me because I was the only one dressed up. And then Mark wanted to get a picture of me, just me and him, which was really cool. And then Dr. Jay Lisi wanted to become friends on Facebook. I guess he wants to reach out to his constituents, stuff like that. I talked to them and the committee member, Reisterstown, and the House of Delegates guy about how I lived in the town for 13 years. And how it was always not hard, but it was all the way down there, and now it's on the Main Street proper, and told them, hey, this is going to be great. And then when Free Comic Book Day comes out, it's going to be huge, and so on and so forth. Went around, bought some Christmas gifts, because the Thanksgiving sale is insane. 70% off on modern and bronze back issues and cards 1980 to present. 50% off on trades and hardcovers, cards pre-1980, action figures, and more. Statues are included in that. 30% off on gold and silver age comics. 20% off on store exclusive covers, card packs, and boxes, new comics, and new this week items. So stuff that came out this week, they're giving you away 20% off. Now, Sunday, they're going to have extra discounts on modern back issue bins and paperbacks. So I think the modern back issue bins are now going to be 80%. And the trades and hardcovers are going to be 60%. Now, there's a hardcover I've been dying to get. Actually, there's 2 I've been dying to get. I might go up there tomorrow, and I might just pick those 2 up and get them at 60% off, because one's $100 and one's $50. So let's just say, for argument's sake, 50% off would be 50 and 25. That's 75. So you take an additional 10% off of that. So it's going to be closer to, for the 2 items, it'll be closer to $60-some. Love it. So I'm going to probably go up and do that. 12 to 5, that's the only problem. Dawn's going to be with me. And maybe I can figure out a way around it. I don't know. We'll see. Today, they also had Frank Cho, who is a local artist who is famous. He's done books for Marvel and DC and Image and now Boom Studios. He's local. He went to University of Maryland, and he did a cartoon strip there called Liberty Meadows. Actually, it's called University Squared. Then he turned that into Liberty Meadows, which became a syndicated newspaper strip for a few years. And then he went on and just did comics. So now he's in Wisconsin Comics. So he was there signing stuff today. So I didn't go see him today, and I didn't go to the store today. I went on Friday, and I'm going to try to go maybe tomorrow. But then I just saw 12 to 5. It's like, ugh. The kids are at my in-laws. Not my in-laws, my dad and my stepmoms. They're going to take them to go see the Lion King down at the Hippodrome. And my wife and I are going to be out and about doing stuff, Christmas presents, stuff like that. So maybe I try to sneak out. We'll see. So they have that going on. So the funny thing is, when we were going to go to lunch, or not lunch, to dinner, the comic book store is now literally, I come out of my neighborhood, I turn right, I go up this road, at the end of the road connects to Main Street, and the comic book store is right there. So it is 2 minutes by car from my house, 5 minutes walking. So as we pull up, because there's a hill, as we reach the top of the hill, we notice a little group of people outside and flashing lights. It's like, uh-oh, what happened? So when we get onto Main Street proper, we notice that a street light that was in front of the comic book store has been knocked over, not onto the store, luckily, onto the road, and a car is up on the sidewalk, and the whole front is smashed. Now, luckily, someone appeared to have gotten out of the car and appeared to be okay. There was no ambulances, but there was a couple of police cars and what do you call those? The ones who pick up your cars when you have flat tires, stuff like that. Pickup truck or whatever you want to call that. There was one of those there. So it got me thinking, is like, wow, that this was about, I guess, 5 o'clock. And I was thinking, wow, that could have been really bad if the car wouldn't have hit that light pole and it would have hit the comic store and smashed the front after they just opened. That would have been bad. And who knows if there was somebody who was right there that could have gotten hit by the car, maybe gotten hurt or killed. Or if the person driving the car got killed also, that could have been bad also. But luckily, the only damage appears to be to a light pole, which they will get a new one placed in there as soon as they possibly can. And the person who was driving, I don't know the situation. I don't know what happened. They appeared to be okay. They were on the phone when we passed by. And the front of their car is trashed, man. Excuse me. I got to stay awake. Got plans for tonight. So that was kind of interesting, scary type of thing. So interesting. More breaking news, not good news, sad news. I just literally saw this when I was posting the link to this live show, which nobody's taking advantage of because I have 0 viewers, but that's besides the point. I don't care. You'll get it all on the replays. Rance Howard, the father of Clint Howard and Ron Howard, has passed away at the age of 89, I think he was. Rance Howard has been, I think, had a role in some kind in every one of Ron Howard's movies. Usually sometimes a small role, or as an extra, or as just a minor role, like as a government official or a parent or something like that. He was in Apollo 13. I forget what he did in Apollo 13. He might have been one of the astronauts maybe, or something. Not the Apollo 13 astronauts, but one of the other astronauts, or a friend of Jim Lovell's. I don't remember, but he was in that. I remember that. But the two that mostly stand out to me was a performance in Ron's first movie. Well, his first movie was Night Shift, but his second movie, Splash, the one that sort of put him on the map, the one that had Tom Hanks before he was Tom Hanks, before he was a huge star, and was just a stand-up comedian. And that's the famous one where Tom Hanks was a guy who fell in love with a mermaid when he was a kid, but then thought it was just his imagination. But then the mermaid remembers him, and now she finally finds him again and decides she wants to spend the rest of her life with him. and she's played by the luscious Daryl Hannah. I mean, it's luscious in 1982, 83, whenever she came out. And Eugene Levy played a scientist who was trying to prove that mermaids were real because he had seen her underwater before, but no one in the scientific community believed him. So he had to keep trying to find ways to get her wet so she would turn into a mermaid in front of everybody. And it's one of the most brutally vicious roles that Eugene Levy's ever had, because every time he's tried to get the mermaid wet, it's always a big mistake. He gets hurt in some form or another. So it's kind of interesting about that. John Candy's in it as well. Great, playing Tom Hanks' brother. John Candy was a phenomenal character. So you had Tom Hanks, John Candy, you had Daryl Hannah, and you had Eugene Levy. Those were the main characters. Now, Rance Howard, his role was fairly interesting because Tom Hanks and John Candy's brothers, they owned a fruit stand in New York City, one of those fruit warehouses underneath overpass, or underneath like one of the highways or whatever, and it's really busy and crazy people. Rance Howard played the loudmouth guy who was complaining about the cherries that Tom Hanks was giving him. And he was yelling and screaming about his cherries, and Tom Hanks just said, "I'll give you 20% off," or whatever. And he's like, "Okay," even though these are crappy cherries. So pretty interesting. So I remember him from that role. And the other one I remember mostly from was from The Grinch Who Stole Christmas. And that was a pretty interesting role. He played a guy who was like, he had long beard. Wait, no, he didn't, because they didn't have long beards. Because that was the one joke, was they were all clean shaven. But he was like, the crusty old guy who one scene is 4 hours to Christmas. He was like calling out the hours that it was, and then he was feeding the Grinch some weird food during the food tasting sequence in the Grinch. So Rance had a part in that, and I think there was another movie that Ron might not have directed, but Rance Howard actually played a lead role in. I don't remember what it was. It was recent too. I don't remember what it was, but rest in peace, Rance. You lived a good, long, hard life, didn't you? Yes. I want to talk about this. Justice League came out last weekend. I'm really not that excited about it. My daughter, actually, Noelle, she went to see it. Her friend of hers, her best friend, actually, her best friend, her birthday was her birthday was on Tuesday at 21st, and she wanted her best friend Noelle to come with her to see the movie Justice League. That's what she wanted to do for her birthday. So Noelle's like, okay. We've never let her really see. She's seen Guardians of the Galaxy, but that's really the only superhero movie that she's ever seen. She hasn't seen Batman. She hasn't seen Superman. She hasn't seen any of the Dark Knight movies. She hasn't seen any of the other Marvel movies besides Guardians of the Galaxy. So I said, okay, that's fine. And so she saw Justice League, and it's underperforming, and now there's all this talk that, well, you shouldn't have let Joss Whedon involved with it. You should have just kept Zack Snyder's cut, which would have been 2.5 hours long, but that's not what Warner Brothers wanted. Warner Brothers wanted a 2-hour movie, and Joss Whedon came in and gave them a 2-hour movie. Now, it made some money, but it severely underperformed, and that's upset a lot of people. And it's kind of confusing also with, how great Wonder Woman was. You'd think that it would be, and, how all the women love Jason Momoa. I don't, because he's not Aquaman. That's besides the point. But the movie underwhelmed. And so now there's talk about things again, like is comic book movies over? They're not. I guarantee you Black Panther's going to make bank in February. Infinity War is going to destroy box office records in May. I will make that guarantee right now. I'll come back in May, and if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I'll admit it on this show, but I will guarantee you it's going to break massive box office records. Because what you're doing is you're combining all of your Marvel Cinematic Universe movies, all of which have made, even the lesser ones like Doctor Strange and Ant-Man have made close to $1 billion. You're putting them all into one movie, and it's not going to make a quadrillion dollars. You're going to get Spider-Man. You're getting the Guardians of the Galaxy. You're getting the Avengers. You're getting Ant-Man. You're getting Black Panther. You're finally going to get your look at Thanos. You've got little snippets here and there of him, and now you're going to get him more often. You're going to see some other characters as well. You're going to get, just every Marvel Cinematic Universe character you can think of is going to be jammed into the first Infinity War movie. And then Captain Marvel will come in the second one. So now you got that one going too. So Doctor Strange is also in this film. So you're going to tell me that you're going to have all of these characters from all these films that have made all close to $1 billion, and people aren't going to come out and see it? I guarantee you it's going to break box office records. Guarantee it. Hell, it might be one of those times where I might have to do another one of those movie marathons. When Avengers first came out, the Marvel Cinematic Universe Phase 1 led to that. So what they decided to do was the day before Avengers was supposed to come out, they did a movie marathon of every Marvel Cinematic Universe movie up to that point. And it was all for one fee, and it was from 11 a.m. until 2:30 a.m. with breaks here and there. I've talked about this before, but it's been a while, and I'm hoping, and since Infinity War's come up next year, and they're probably going to do something similar to that, I'm going to probably look into that and see if maybe I can do that again, because it was a blast. So I took the day off from work. I went to the White Marsh movie theater, which is about 30 minutes away from here. So it was a little bit of a hike, but it was the only one that was doing it. Owings Mills wasn't doing it, which is the closest one to me. Hunt Valley wasn't doing it, which is also close. White Marsh was. So I went out there. I got the tickets for it. And what you do is when you go in, there's a specific table set up for those people who are going to see the marathon. You say your name because you already bought your tickets, and they say, okay, there's your name. Here's your lanyard. You get a lanyard that lets you in and out of the movie theater, because what happens was you get to the movie theater, you find your seat, 11 a.m., Iron Man starts, which is the first MCU movie. So Iron Man finished, and instead of just starting Iron Man 2 up right there, they decide, hey, it's been 2.5 hours. People might have to go to the bathroom. People are hungry. People are thirsty. People need to stretch their legs. People need to check their phones. The next film, which was The Incredible Hulk, was going to start at, say, let me see, like 1:15. So that gave you like a 15-minute window where if you need to go to the bathroom, you go to the bathroom. If you want to get something to eat, you get something to eat. If you needed to stretch your legs, you could stretch your legs. And then you came back in time, and you had the schedule of all the times when the movie was supposed to start. You sat down, you watched The Incredible Hulk. And the same thing happened. After The Incredible Hulk ended, they gave you a 15, 20-minute break time again. And then you come back, Iron Man 2 came out. Same thing again. After that was over, 20-minute break, Thor came out. After that, about 20-minute break, then Captain America came out. Now, remember, that was it. After Captain America, the next one was Avengers. So Captain America ended at about 11:30 p.m. So we had about a half-hour window to wait for the Avengers, which really sucked because we'd already seen all these movies. We hadn't seen the Avengers yet, and that's why we came to see this. So we had to wait, and we were already kind of out of it a little bit. And then the movie started, and we watched the Avengers, and it was great. Now, what was cool is that the White Marsh movie theater is within a shopping, like Main Street type of thing. It's like, I don't know if you guys have this anywhere, but the Main Street is like you take a plot of land and you build just a bunch of stores together with sidewalks and fountains and streets and parking and trees and beautiful stuff like that. And it has all kinds of stuff in it. Well, White Marsh had a Barnes & Noble, it had a bunch of restaurants, it had stuff like that. So I could, during the 15 to 20-minute break, if I wanted to, I walked out of the movie theater. I could walk out because I had my lanyard. I walked out of the movie theater. I walked over to Barnes & Noble. I browsed Barnes & Noble a little bit. I could have bought a comic book, a book, whatever, and then brought it back in. And then I would just come by. I would show the guy, here's my lanyard. And they would say, go ahead. You go, you find your seat again, boom, you're done, you're back, and you were outside for a little bit, and you came back. They had restaurants if you don't want to buy the movie theater food for your lunch and dinner. You could go out to one of these other little restaurants around the area, or little areas you pick up food and get that and then come back in. You couldn't bring it back into the theater. That was the only problem. You had to eat it there and then had to go back in, so you couldn't bring it back. You had to buy stuff and in your drinks from the movie theater you could take back in the movie theater with you, but you couldn't say take 5 guys out, get it for carry out and then carry it into the movie theater and open it up in there. You couldn't do that. So that's all right. It's understandable. So I might have to do that again for Avengers Infinity War if they do that, because I guarantee you it's going to break box office records. Well, my point about all this is Ben Affleck again is saying that he may or may not want to do Batman anymore. I guess it's understandable. You did 2 crappy movies as Batman. Actually, was Suicide Squad and the Batman vs Superman, and then Justice League, though it might be pretty good, it's worn you out. You've done Batman 3 times and you're sort of done with it. I can understand that. So they might pick another Batman. The actor everybody, all the pundits said would be great is Jake Gyllenhaal. And I was like, fuck no. I hate Jake Gyllenhaal. I think he would be absolutely awful as Batman. And I don't even want you to be even discussing the fact that Jake Gyllenhaal could be Batman. If he's Batman, DC, you've really gone downhill, because Jake Gyllenhaal is bleh. Your sister, Maggie Gyllenhaal, basically ruined Dark Knight almost for me. Lucked out that Heath Ledger did a good Joker and Christian Bale's Batman was good, but you're taking over for Katie Holmes was awful, and that's your sister. And Jake, you're a good actor, but I don't want to see you as Batman. I don't really like you as an actor anyway, but I know you're good. I know you do some good movies. A lot of people like you. I don't watch any of your movies. I really don't like you that much. No offense, dude. You probably don't like me. You're probably one of the 6 or 7 people that thumb down my video, or the people who like Jake Gyllenhaal say, fuck him, I'm going to thumb that down for him. I don't want to see Jake Gyllenhaal as Batman. I don't know who I want to see as Batman. There really is no anyone famous out there right now that I want to see as Batman. Get someone new then, if you want to get someone fresh, get someone fresh face, let's face facts. Chris Hemsworth as Thor did not have a lot of movies under his belt when he got cast as Thor. Tom Hiddleston, no one really knew about him in the United States. He was big over in England, but they didn't. And then all of a sudden, what happens? There's Thor and Loki. They take off. Chris Evans was always known as a comedic actor, and then he was the ultimate best superhero role, and he was the perfect Johnny Storm in the original Fantastic Four movies. And so when they cast him in this role, I was like, I guess okay. He's got the build and the look, and he was fantastic. He knocked it out of the park, And then so you get these characters these actors who aren't hugely famous. Yeah, but still you got your Robert Downey Jr.'s and so Mark Ruffalo is not that famous, and he's now the Hulk. Scarlett Johansson was fairly famous when she got the role of Black Widow, so it's a give and take. But but Tom Holland, as Spider-Man, no one really knew about him. He's now your Spider-Man. Why don't you do something like that for Batman? Pick up someone fresh face you've never seen before, who's got the look of a Batman, and not this kid from Gotham. Screw that. Someone fresh, someone new, who's got the Batman look, and who is actually like Ryan Reynolds. Ryan Reynolds absolutely loves playing Deadpool, and I could probably see him playing Deadpool for the rest of his life, and he'd be extraordinarily happy. I think he loves the character more than anything, and you need to find someone like that who would say, you know what, I'll play Batman for the rest of my life. I don't care. You need to find someone like that, not Jake Gyllenhaal. I'm sorry, just no. Please no. Switching to that, tell you what, why don't we talk about, after I said all this bad stuff about Jake Gyllenhaal, how about some karma in my direction? What day was it? Saturday night. This past Saturday night, not tonight, last Saturday night. One of our Snark friends, Sesame Squirrel, came for a visit, and she had a suite at one of the local hotels here that has a swimming pool, and so she invited us all to go to her hotel and swim in the swimming pool. And if we want to, we could stay in her suite because she had plenty of room for the whole family. Well, I had my reasons why I didn't want to go. I wanted to stay home. So Dawn and the kids went and had a blast at the hotel. I stayed home, and so after they left, I said, okay, I need to get some milk because we were running low on milk and we hadn't had a chance to go out to the grocery store because kids were going to come back on Sunday and they were going to need milk for breakfast because I didn't think they were going to eat breakfast at the hotel because they had to take Sesame Squirrel back to the train station really early in the morning, so I didn't think they would have breakfast yet, so I needed to have milk ready for them. So I said, okay, let me go to Wawa, which for those who don't know what a Wawa is, it's one of your local convenience stores, like I guess depending on where you are in the country, you have your specific ones like a Sheetz or a Quick Check or Royal Farms. In this case, Wawa is one of those. I think Wawa is a East Coast one. I don't know if you have any out. It's like a 7-Eleven. I think 7-Eleven's everywhere, I think. So it's similar to a 7-Eleven. It's nicer than a 7-Eleven, to be honest, but that's between you and me. And it's basically nicer than Royal Farms also, which is the local convenience store here in Maryland, along with Highs and stuff like that. But I like Wawa. It's right down the street. And another reason why I wanted to go to Wawa is because they always get the new stuff that I've mentioned before in my show. And I still hadn't tried, this was last Saturday, remember, I still hadn't tried the salted caramel Pepsi yet. And I'd wanted to do that. So I said, Wawa's probably going to have it. So they have milk. So I'll get the milk there because it's a convenience store. It has milk. So I would get the milk there. I get the Pepsi salted caramel. They probably have there. They have all the Reese's ones that I like the Reese's with the Reese's Pieces in it. And they have the Reese's with the cookie in it, which I haven't seen anywhere else except for Wawa. Not even at Royal Farms, which is supposed to be a convenience store, but it isn't. It has the Reese's Pieces filled Reese's Peanut Butter Cups, but not the cookie ones. And so perusing the coolers, I was like, okay, they have eggnog also. I've never had Wawa eggnog. Let me pick that up also. So I got Wawa eggnog, a gallon of milk, salted caramel Pepsi, Reese's Peanut Butter Cups with cookies in it. And I got up to the cash register, and next to it they had little squares of coffee-flavored chocolate because Wawa does special coffee also. And on a whim, I was like, I'll take that as well. So I bought that as well. Boom. I feel like I'm missing something. I think, oh, and the creamy peanut butter Twix is really, really good also. So if you can find, I'd never seen that anywhere except for Wawa. So I picked that up, and I ate that, and I ate all that. So it was great. So I had all this stuff. It was in a big bag. It was heavy. I was like, that's okay. I got my car. Now, Wawa also has a gas station, and they have a parking slot for their automatic air machine for your tires. Now, these machines, you find how much your PSI, your pressure, whatever you need, like 26, 30, 50, whatever your tire pressure is supposed to be. You type that into their free air machine, and then once you stick the nozzle onto your tire, it'll tell you, okay, you're at 28 PSI and you need 36. So you hold that down, and it'll fill it up to 36, and it'll beep when it hits 36. So your car will be full to the top. Now, my tire, one of my tires said that it was had low pressure. So I was like, okay, I'm here. It's a nice day out. It was one of those warm. It was like 55 degrees at like 10 o'clock. No, not 10 o'clock, like 9 o'clock at night. I was like, it's 55 degrees out. It's nice. It's early mid-November, by myself. There's no cars. So usually when I try to get the free air, there's like a line of cars trying to get it's free air, and that's a shame that, not more gas stations give out free air, but they do. And it's got that PSI machine, which is really cool. So I know which tire is low, and I do it first, and it was like 25, and I'm 36, so it was like 11% down. So I was like, ooh, that's pretty bad. It could have popped any time. So I put it in there. All right, filled that one up. It's like, hey, you know what? While I'm here, why don't I just fill all of them up? It might not. I don't know how full they all are. That was the only one that I knew was low. So yeah, let's just see what the other ones are. So I do the front driver's side. It's 30. Okay, quick 36. Okay, I do the other driver's side. It was like a 28. Boom, 36. You're done. So we already do the back. I should have stopped there. But I didn't, because I hadn't had any reason not to. The minute I put the hose onto the nozzle for the back passenger side tire, it went, and air came out of my tire. I still don't know what happened, but my tire pressure was dropping. It wasn't going up, even with the machine on it. And besides, I couldn't get the machine on it because the valve had now been pushed into the tire. So I was like, oh, frig, I'm going to have a flat tire in Wawa's parking lot. Luckily, a Mr. Tire is about 2 minutes down the road. I was like, okay, I still have enough pressure on my tire. I think I can get, it's, as I said, 9 o'clock at night, not a lot of people on the road. I think I can get down there quickly. So I pull out and I'm driving down. I could feel the tires going, I could feel it getting really, really low and the rims are running on it. And then I see the Mr. Tire place. It's closed. I thought it was open till 9. They actually closed at 8. So I pulled in. They were already gone. So I pulled in. I parked in the front parking spot right by the door. They have one of those boxes where it's like after hours drop box. So you write the problem, your car information, you drop your car key in, and you slide it through their slot so nobody can get it. It's, you have to break into the place to get the keys. So I did that, and I ended up having to walk home with this big bag of milk, eggnog, soda, and all that stuff. I was like, oh God, this is killing me. So I got home eventually. As I said, nice night. It was a nice night, and I got home, but I was still frustrated. So I texted Dawn and said, hey, tire burst. It's at Mr. Tire. We'll have to get a new tire tomorrow, blah, blah, blah. It should only be about $100. Dawn was like, okay, that's okay, because we could afford that. So I get a call from them the next day, and they said, yeah, it's going to be about $100. Like, yeah, go for it. And I said, okay, we'll get to it as soon as we can. This is on Sunday, so they were open on Sunday. They were able to do this for me. So I get a call about an hour later from someone else saying, yeah, we discovered what happened to your tire. We can't fix it. Your gauge is burst. Like, okay. I was like, yeah, we got to replace that too. That's going to be another $100. I was like, whoa, wait a second. I don't think I can afford $200. Well, we have to. We're legally bound to do it. And I said, well, what if you just put a different tire, not replace those? Well, I can't do that because it's a $10,000 fine, a year in prison for whoever does that at their store. I was like, really? I was like, yeah, I can't do it. I have to give you the tire as is. It's like, but I wouldn't be able to move it. And so one suggestion is like, you can set up a credit account. I was like, I don't want to set up a credit account with you. I was like, I'll find the money, just fix it. And I was like, okay. So I called Dawn and told her how much it was, and we had to scramble to get the money. She was able to get half of the money out of an account, and then we put a bunch of our change into one of those change machines at the grocery store, borrowed some money from my daughter, and eventually we had enough. And then I had a small amount on my credit card, so I said we can work with this. So able to get the tire replaced. It was actually less. They had originally the final quote was $235.35. It ended up being like $228, so I saved about $7. Regardless, I don't know how it happened, but I did. And so tire got fixed. So that's what happened to me last weekend. So that was kind of a shitty thing that happened. As those who've watched the show, you saw me do my first taste of salted caramel Pepsi. And I also told you the story last week's episode of Dylan Knows. But for those who hadn't seen that episode, that's the story that I had to deal with. I had the salted caramel Pepsi. It's not bad. They should have just called it caramel Pepsi because there's really no salt note to it. It just tastes like Pepsi with a little bit of a caramel aftertaste to it. It's good if you like caramel. It's not something I would probably drink all the time, but every once in a while, why not? Something else that I discovered at the grocery store was nutmeg and cinnamon Triscuits. Now, they actually are pretty good. Triscuit you always think of like, what is it? It's not succulent, but like, you get the sun-dried tomato, or you get garlic, or you get, you get these types of things. This was more of a sweet, savory. Triscuits are usually savory. So wheat cracker, which you put cheese on, and there's like cracked pepper and garlic is really good, or cracked pepper and olive oil or whatever was really good. They got all different flavors, but they had one for the holidays, which was nutmeg and cinnamon. It was actually pretty good too. I mean, I don't know if you want to put cheese on it, but you could put some cool stuff on it like that. So it was actually pretty good too. So I've tried that before. I also discovered that, you might remember back on 4th of July, I talked about Mountain Dew releasing their Red, White, and Dew, which was 3 flavors of their Mountain Dews mixed together into their red Mountain Dew, their white Mountain Dew, and their blue Mountain Dew, all mixed together into one drink. And actually was really good. I bought a bunch of cases of those. They were really, really yummy. So they're doing the same thing again this year for the holidays. They're calling it Holiday Brew for Mountain Dew, and it's a mix of the red and green, the regular Mountain Dew and the red Mountain Dew. I haven't tried it yet. I have a 12-pack upstairs. I'm going to wait till December to open that up. So I got the new Arctic Blue one, which is you can only get for gamer flavors or whatever. So I'm going to try that first, and then I'll get this Holiday Brew one. But you might want to check that out and see if it's any good. If the red, white, and Dew was good, this one should be pretty good as well, since it's the green and red together. So that should be pretty good at that. And I'm sorry for my viewer who was watching and then decided to say F you, I'm going to leave. Speaking of deaths, I talked about Rance Howard already. We had 2 other deaths this week, and then they were alive, and they were dead, and they were alive again, and then they were dead, then they were alive, and then finally they died. Separate days. Similar thing happened with Tom Petty. I told you the story. I got a little bit involved in something where I mentioned that Tom Petty was dead because they said that like one of the networks said he was dead, and so a lot of other people were saying it also, but turned out he wasn't quite dead yet. But then like an hour later he actually did die, so I was right, but not at that time. Well, something similar happened this week with David Cassidy and Charles Manson. That's a pair, right? Both of them were in serious condition last week. And at one time, it said that both of them had died. So people were doing the RIPs, and, well, RIP for David Cassidy. You wouldn't want to do an RIP for Charles Manson because he was a piece of shit. But, sorry to speak ill of the dead, but he killed a bunch of people, including a pregnant woman with a baby. He killed the baby as well. He was a psychopath, and he was in jail for a long time. But then, no, wait. They're not dead. They're still alive. Both of them. Okay. So you had to retract all that stuff. Oh, wait, no, they're dead again. No, they're not. They're alive again. No, they're dead. They're alive. So eventually, came back. Finally, they were both alive, and then it was official. The jail that Charles Manson was in, they officially declared Charles Manson dead. So he did die. And hopefully he's in hell, burning in hell right now. But David Cassidy was still alive. He died a couple of days later. So rest in peace, David Cassidy, and go to hell, Charles Manson. But I had an interesting story about David Cassidy. I don't know, I might have mentioned this before, but I'm going to mention it again anyway. I was security for David Cassidy once. I worked at WLAF 101.9 Light FM for about, 98 to like 2003. 98, 99, 2000, about 5 years. I worked for WLAF 101.9 FM for about 3 years. I was, I did events that, the radio station did, where we'd go to stores and do the prize wheel or give out poinsettias at Christmas time. And we did the state fair and, stuff like I did movie premieres. I was MC at movie premieres and stuff like that. So a lot of fun little stuff. Well, one of the events they had was they had a contest where you could win a meet and greet with David Cassidy, which is going to be at our headquarters in Towson. And our headquarters is really cool. It's a skyscraper in Towson, not skyscraper, it's a tall building. It's probably about a 17-story building, maybe more than that, called Towson Center. There was a movie theater and a Barnes & Noble, Borders, and some other shops. A little food court was in there as well. There was lots of offices. So our office was way, way up high, and which is really cool because a lot of the movie premieres was at the movie theater in the same building. So we would just go after hours into our studio or the offices, because most people left at 5 o'clock, but we were still working there for doing promotions. And we just pack up the stuff we needed for that and just get in the elevator and take the elevator down and then drive it over to the movie theater, and boom, I'll hook it up there. And then other times we'd had to get in the van and take it to one of the other local movie theaters, but I digress. Anyway, one of the events we did, one of the promotions we did was, spend a few hours with David Cassidy. And he was going to come to our building, and he was going to sign autographs and take pictures with people and stuff like that. And that was really going to be, it was something fun, easy. He was in town for a concert or something like that. So we decided, hey, why don't you just come on? We'll interview you on air. We'll play some of your new music from your album, because it was light FM stuff, because, we do the light FM music, the light music. And, all the fans of his from the Partridge Family came out, and they bought his album, and they had him sign it, and they posed for pictures with him. And my job was basically to stand behind him, imposing as I was in my 6'5" frame. And if anyone got too touchy-feely or did something they weren't supposed to, it was my job, obviously, as security, to push them away and get them away from David. So I did that. So I met him. I don't really remember much about it. He was a nice enough guy, and he smiled and never complained, and signed everything he could, and took lots of pictures. That's my David Cassidy story. Boom. Boom. I'm not really going to talk about this because it's not really of interest to you. Yes, this is something Jerry Fletcher and I last week, we did our top 10 pet peeves. Everybody has pet peeves, and I put out a tweet about do you have any pet peeves? And only a few people came back with comments, so I answered them and did them on the air. Now, what I didn't notice was before then, either whatever reason I didn't see it or whatever, one of my viewers, Barry Cleaver, who I think might have been watching but left because he said, he's not going to talk about me. About that, Barry. He sent me one. I just missed it. And so I said, hey, I promise you I'll do it on next week's episode. And he's like, oh, you don't have to, but I think I'm going to. Actually, that's not what I want. I want my likes. So I liked it. Where are you? Profile, likes. There we go. There we go. Or was it Dylan Knows? Hold on. It was Dylan Knows. Okay. My other Twitter account. Hold on. Sorry. Give me a second. I know it's in this one. I should have thought about that originally. All right. Here we go. Profile. My likes. Yep. Oh, no. Wait a second. Or did Barry... Did he drop it? Because I did like it. Barry might have dropped it. He might have deleted it. Dude, I was going to get to it. I just didn't get to it that time. I thought I liked it. Yeah, no. For whatever reason, I don't see it. Okay. Sorry, Barry. I can't find it. I thought I had it. Actually, let me check your account. Barry. Let's see if I can find it. Sorry, this is, I know, fascinating stuff. Anyway, it was like one of the pet peeves that Jerry talked about was he hated people who were sitting on the same side of a booth at like a restaurant or whatever. When you want to sit, like especially when you're on a date, when most times you probably want to sit across from your loved ones. I guess he just deleted it because I don't see it anywhere on here. Tweets and replies, maybe. She sent me a picture before. Oh, wait a second. Hold on. She sent me a picture before. Yeah, it looks like he deleted it because, yeah, he deleted it. Oh, well. All right, Barry, I was going to read it for you, but well, that's cool. If you want to hear it, that's fine. So she sent me a picture. She was in a restaurant today and saw a couple on the same side again, and she's like, I hate that. And so I had to laugh out loud. It was funny. She even took a picture of them. It was funny. So there was that. And then I said Barry, I was going to do Barry's, but he deleted it. Looks like deleted his. Again, I guess that's okay. I mean, if you don't want to do it, then we'll do it. It's fine. I missed it. I forgot, and I apologize for that. But then I found another one that I didn't like, another pet peeve of mine that I didn't like. Now, one of my pet peeves in the top 10 list from last week's show, which, by the way, you should check out in its entirety. Just go to my YouTube page, type in Dylan Lang. I'm usually the first person in the search engine. I'm wearing you can't see me, I'm Ninja, and I got my thumbs out like the Fonz. Click on that, click on my playlist, find Dylan Knows. It should be like the bottom, the most recent one at the bottom. Or go to my videos or something like that. You'll find it. And it was about advertising on TV and radio, how their advertising is stupid as hell. And I wanted to add another like sidebar to that. There have been at least 2 commercials that I know of that I've heard recently where people are like, we should do our commercial like a movie trailer. And then they get into the deep, in a world where blah, blah, blah. And I just have to shake my head every time. It's like, they never say in a world anymore in trailers. If you've ever actually gone out and watched a trailer, a recent one, they use lines from the movie. They don't have a narrator usually talking about the film. It's usually they let the film do the self-explaining for themselves. And to be honest, I never heard in a world. But that seems to be like the go-to whenever someone wants to make a comment or joke about trailer speak. They always use in a world. It's not a trailer. Just talking to somebody. It's not a trailer thing. I don't even remember if it ever was. Even was, it's so stupid. It doesn't make any sense. If you've seen a trailer recently, they use lines from the movie. Very little narration. So that's one of my pet peeves. All right, let's see. On this page, I have Walking Dead and Thanksgiving stuff. On this side, let's do some of these now. I did this. Let's do some of these little tidbits of news here because I've been on the air now for just about an hour. So let's hit some of these little tidbits of news. You know where my mind is, and hopefully it'll be there later tonight. We'll see. Sex robots with hot skin to keep you warm are the new craze now. So I didn't even know there were any functioning sex robots out there. I knew they were working on them, but I didn't think there were actually any you could physically buy now. But apparently they are, and they're out there now, and they have warm skin to keep you warm at night during the winter. So, yeah. Single me is like, oh, sweet, that's so awesome. That would have been so cool. Married me is like, hopefully I'll do that tonight, but that's besides the point. So we had that. Boom. I'll do all the space one at one time. Anger from conservatives and the religious right about upside down Christmas trees. Why? First of all, Christmas trees are not a religious symbol. They're not. And secondly, who cares if it's an upside down one? It's a stupid fad. It looks dumb. It looks awful. But you know what? Who cares? If someone wants to have an upside down Christmas tree, let them have an upside down Christmas tree. Stupid as hell. I don't get that. Same thing as the same people who get angry over saying Happy Holidays instead of Merry Christmas, or complaining about Starbucks' holiday cup. Just shake my head. I'm not going to go there because that's probably one of the reasons why I get 6 or 7 thumbs downs. I don't know what the hell am I doing this Pokemon Go gym thing. I have no idea what the hell this is. So I'm gonna cross that shit out. I must have been drunk when I wrote that. Pretty much already talked about that. Don't need to talk about that anymore. I don't really want to talk about that. I talked about the kids are going to go see the Broadway. Well, it's the Broadway traveling version of The Lion King with my dad and stepmom tomorrow. I talked a little bit about that, so that's kind of cool. They're going to go see that. I shouldn't cross that out. I should just mark that off. Pokemon Go Worldwide event. Oh, yeah, I'm going to talk about that. I'll talk about Pokemon Go again real quick. My wife is more crazy about it than I am, and this morning is a sure sign about it. So we end up getting up about 8 a.m. this morning, and the first thing she does is she checks what we call Discord, which is a collective of Pokemon Go players where they put out where the gyms that are having raid bosses are, and also, you know, any like special Pokemon, that rare ones you don't see all that often, where they're spawning, like a Snorlax or a Gyarados, you know, where they spawning, and because normally you can't get them in the wild, but sometimes they do, and they'll tell you where to do it and how long it's going to be there. So she checked her Pokemon Go. She always does first thing in the morning, and we're presently getting close to the end of the last legendary raid for Suicune, which is this giant dog-like thing, and there was one that was at like 8 a.m. that we missed. We said, oh, there's going to be another one like at 9 o'clock. Can we go to that? And I was like, you can. So she said, okay, I'll go though. So she took all our phones. So she had 4 phones, and the 3 of me and my kids, we stayed in while she went out and did Pokemon Go and tried to catch this Suicune legendary beast. And there was another raid that was happening right down the street, which was not as big as the legendary one. She did that one also. She was out there for about 45 minutes, and then she came back. We just got up in the morning, and she did this. And we went out, we did Suicune a little later. But I just have to laugh at my wife because she's the crazed Pokemon Go player. I like it, I play it, but I'm not as crazy as she is about it. So, but there's nothing wrong with that because I still love her. California man is about to launch himself inside his homemade rocket to prove that the Earth is flat. First of all, what's wrong with this sentence? A man, California man, is going to launch himself in a homemade rocket to prove that Earth is flat. Launch himself in a homemade rocket to prove the Earth is flat. You're going to blow yourself up, kill yourself. It's going to crash. You're going to hurt yourself. And how does that prove the Earth is flat? No further comment. Oh, brother. Minecraft. My kids are weird. No, they're not weird. They're normal kids. They go through cycles. For the longest time, they liked Minecraft. Minecraft is that cool game where you build things, and then at the same time, you get hunted by zombies and giant spiders and creepers and endermen and stuff like that, and stuff. You got to fight them, but you get to craft weaponry, and you have to find food, and you build shelters. And it's really cool because it lets the kids creativity flow, because they can create these hugely ornate and crazy buildings. My 2 kids, my 8-year-old and my soon-to-be 11-year-old, build these intricate, amazing structures that have floors and roofs and paintings and electricity and water and paths and all kinds of stuff. And I can't even build a regular square in the game. And then after a while, they sort of got away from Minecraft and they started getting into Pokemon. They're still into Pokemon a lot. Same thing, Minecraft was always sort of lingering in the background, but there were times where they focus on these things. So they were focused on Pokemon for a long time. Then they focus on the Wii U and Mario and all that and video game stuff. And my son, when he watches his tablets, he goes through his cycles too. He watches videos about Minecraft and videos about Pokemon and then videos about Mario and then about other stuff. And then he goes back around. It's like more about Minecraft, so on and so forth. So now he's in a Minecraft phase again, which is always interesting right around Christmas because we go to the toy stores and he points out what he wants. It's all Minecraft, Legos, stuff like that. We've got 1 or 2 Lego things he hasn't built from the last time we got him Minecraft Legos. But I digress. So today we went and we took some pictures of stuff and there was a bunch of Minecraft things. However, Minecon is a convention I think was last weekend, and they released something, an email about it, or a tweet about it, and they were discussing some new stuff that was coming to Minecraft. Now, Minecraft, for those who don't know, you're on an island that has different biomes. So you've got snow, you've got jungle, you've got plain, you've got beach, stuff like that. And that's where you build up your stuff and do stuff there. Well, they also have water because you're on an island. And the water you never really do much with. You've never really done anything with it, really. It's just there. Well, this new update for Minecraft puts you underwater, where there's all kinds of new stuff underwater, things you can build underwater, and new creatures to fight you and attack you, and new food for you to get, and new ores for you to mine, and stuff like that. So that's really kind of cool. So I'm okay with the kids playing Minecraft because it really gets their creativity flowing. And when they're both in the right mindset, they can both play in the same world on their tablets, so they can play with each other. And they love that more than anything. So I'm okay with that. And I think it's really cool that hopefully we can update it onto their Minecraft server and we can start having them explore the underwater world, which is really kind of cool. So, you know, it's kind of a big server update type of thing, and to have all the stuff happening underwater now where you didn't have anything there before is really kind of cool. So I'm good with that. Jason Voorhees of the Friday the 13th movie series was originally going to cross over with Cheech and Chong in a movie. That came to light recently this week, and I thought, you know, that might actually have been a really interesting movie. Almost like, you know, a Abbott and Costello meets the Wolfman type of thing. In this case, it's you know, Cheech and Chong meet, you know, Jason Voorhees, who slashes up teenagers who have sex. Like I hope to so later tonight. Besides the point. All right. This is an interesting story that has never been discussed before because it's the first time it's ever happened. We've had the first successful head transplant. I haven't read the articles on it, so I don't exactly know the situation. But that just sounds really weird, doesn't it? A head transplant? I should probably read the article, but I'm still trying to wrap myself around this. I mean, how can you do a head transplant? Your head has your brain in it, which keeps you alive. It has stuff that connects to your spine, which keeps you upright and walking. And those people who can't walk anymore, there's something wrong with their spinal cord. A head transplant to me is you're taking off a head and putting another one in its place. That should almost be impossible. Again, I haven't fully read the article, but it was a big article this past week on Twitter and Facebook, and that's why I do these episodes, where I get some weird, interesting news. Now, I guess, you know, that's where I fail and I get my 6 to 7 thumbs downs, is because I don't do my investigations. Like, this is a really cool headline, and that's all I'm going to tell you about it. But it just leads me to a whole bunch of questions. If your head is removed from your body, you're dead. Now, if you're using a dead body's head and putting it on a live body's head, and it brings the dead body head back to life. A, you're a completely different person. You look like a completely different person. B, it's impossible. Because how are you severing a head and putting another one on it and restarting the brain functions and having them be able to walk, reattaching the spine? It doesn't make any sense to me. And how are they breathing if their head is off? When your head is off, you're off. Like they said in Monty Python and the Holy Grail, just scratch your arms off. In this case, your head's off. I should probably read the article. And maybe you should too, because I have no idea how this happened. Head transplants. Speaking of Christmas, what? For those who watched the show also, I'm on episode 218. I've been on for over 4 years. 218 episodes of this crappy little 6 dislike show. One of my favorite Christmas movies of all time, probably my favorite Christmas movie of all time, is A Christmas Story. Now everybody's like, oh God. Now that was a long time ago. Before then, it was like everyone was like, oh, that's a great Christmas movie. But when TNT and TBS decided they were going to run 24/7 Christmas Story on Christmas Eve and a Christmas night, people are like, oh God, I'm so tired of that movie. And they start hating on it. And there are other people like, oh, that's so great. It's a tradition in our family to watch it, stuff like that. Could I watch it 24/7? Absolutely, I could. But I don't, because I got stuff going on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. So I don't think I even watch it once. Maybe I might turn on the TV to see where they are. But I own the movie on DVD and Blu-ray. I own a DVD copy, I own a Blu-ray copy, I own a videotape copy. So I got 3 copies of it right there. So I watch the Blu-ray copy of it every Christmas Eve. That's my tradition. Once we get the kids to bed, and we've pretty much got their presents wrapped, except for the ones that Santa brings. That's the best time that my wife and we wrap the presents that we buy for ourselves. No, like I buy for her, she buys for me. So she doesn't really like the movie that much. She likes it, but she's not like as big a fan of it as I am. So she sits in the living room with the Christmas tree and wraps the presents she got for me in that room. I'm in the family room. I can't see what she's doing. She can't see what I'm doing. I'm wrapping her presents while I'm watching A Christmas Story on my Blu-ray. You know, the TBS TNT is cool. You're doing 24/7, but you also have commercials, so it breaks up the movie. I would rather just watch the hour and 35-minute movie straight, and that's usually about 10, 11 o'clock at night till about 12:30. That's when we usually do our wrapping for that. And then we go to bed, and then Santa comes. We probably kept them waiting because we stayed up so late. But I have heard him come in before a few times. But that's besides the point. Anyway, a while back, actually probably around the turn of the century, Mel Brooks decided that he wanted to do a musical version of his movie where one of the plot lines is about a movie musical called The Producers. He wanted to turn it into a Broadway play. Now remember, he was the first guy to do this, to turn a movie into a Broadway play and a Broadway musical for that case. And he got Nathan Lane and Matthew Broderick to originate the roles that were originated by Gene Wilder and Zero Mostel in the original movie. And so they made a musical, Broadway musical version of it, and it was a huge hit. So because it was such a huge hit, everybody in the world started saying, okay, what kind of movies can we turn into musicals as well? So you start seeing stuff, you know, I can't think of it any top of my head. that just started spiraling out of there. So there have been a ton that have come, and then there's also been ones where it's been reversed, where they've taken the musical from Broadway and made a movie of it because it was successful. Spamalot, I guess, is another good example, which is technically Monty Python and the Holy Grail, a musical version of that on Broadway, which I saw, so freaking hilarious. Then The Bodyguard, which Dawn and I saw for her birthday earlier this year, that's based on the Whitney Houston movie. And then there's all kinds of them now. Waitress and a whole lot of these now are out there now. They also have done a musical version of A Christmas Story. Now, Fox has been having some success around this time of the year when they've done their live musicals. So they actually perform a musical live on TV with some big actors, and so perform musicals like you're watching it on Broadway, but you're watching it on TV and it's live. So the holiday one they're doing this year is the musical version of A Christmas Story, which I've never seen. It was at the Hippodrome last winter, but we never went. I wanted to go. Hello, Dawn. You should know these things. You should have got me tickets. So that's going to be on Fox on December 17th, and I swear I'm going to be sitting there and I'm going to watch it, and I'm going to love it, I hope. And then I'll watch the regular movie on December 24th because that's my tradition. I always do. It's like watching Halloween, the movie I love, on Halloween, which I do. You know what? I don't want to get into political stuff, so I'm just going to cross that out. So I'm going to cross this out also because I really don't want to do any political stuff right now. On a personal note, my nephew Luke turned 20 this past Saturday. Yes. So happy birthday to you, Luke. And my sister and brother-in-law just celebrated 24 years of marriage on Monday. So congratulations to them as well. So, huzzah. All right, so I got Space, Walking Dead, Thanksgiving. Let's talk about Thanksgiving real quick. My Thanksgiving weekend was pretty good. I've had a pretty good weekend. I hope to have a really good night tonight. That's besides the point. Let's see. Thursday was Thanksgiving. Noelle had a project for Girl Scouts where she had to watch the parade, and she had to check off everything, the list of stuff that the her Girl Scout leader gave her. Says, look, in order to get a parade badge for your badges, fill out this form and then draw a picture of a Girl Scout float you'd like to see, because there was one in the actual Macy's Day Parade, and then write a sentence about what your favorite float was and why, and so on and so forth. So we sat down, we always do, we watched the whole parade, and she found the things, and she was really excited and happy about it. She's been playing the trombone, so when the marching bands came on, she was trying to find the trombone players. We found a couple of those, and we talked about stuff. So it's always fun to sit there and watch the parade. And then we went down to my in-laws' house down in Olney, which is only about 45 minutes away, which is better than going down to my sister and brother-in-law's house. My sister-in-law and brother-in-law's house, which is about 2 hours away. I mean, it's nice. Don't get me wrong. It's a nice Thanksgiving down there. They have a nice house, and we have a lot of fun. But driving-wise, it's rough because it's a 2-hour-long drive, whereas this is only 45 minutes, and a lot better. So did that, and I did exactly what I always do every Thanksgiving, and I'm not complaining. I can't think of the right words, but I don't care what you think about it. I sit down and I watch football. Football's always been tradition for me. So I watched the Lions Vikings game. I watched the Cowboys, most of the Cowboys Chargers game. We had dinner around that time, and then I came home and watched the Redskins Giants game. And my brother-in-law Mike was there. We talked about that. My brother-in-law Jeff's father was there. We talked football also. And my father-in-law showed up every once in a while. My sister-in-laws would come in, and they were busy, gabbing and doing their Thanksgiving thing. And some good hors d'oeuvres. So I was just gorging myself on hors d'oeuvres, good stuff, and watching football and making comments and talking and stuff like that. And occasionally the kids would come in because they were playing with their cousins and see what was going on, but they didn't care. So they were interesting football games. I'll give you that much. My team, the Ravens, play Monday night, so I don't get to see them tomorrow, Sunday. I have to see them on Monday. What I always remember about Thanksgiving for me is besides the football and the family together. Before I met Dawn, some of the things that I remember about it are I used to watch Mystery Science Theater 3000. They used to do the marathons on Comedy Central, and then Sci-Fi when they were on Sci-Fi. Because they're turkeys, they're bad movies and turkeys, so they run a whole bunch all in a row. I would sit and watch that usually instead of football sometimes. It was just recently when I started watching football a lot more often. It was also Thanksgiving is also the first time I ever saw Godfather and Godfather Part 2 and Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, the original with Gene Wilder. Because the ABC Family Network and a few other networks, USA, whatever, they run these marathons of these movies. And I'd never seen them before. So there was one year back in the mid-90s where I really wasn't into football that much. And I was at home, and I wasn't with Dawn yet. I hadn't met her yet. And I was just bored, and I just turned on The Godfather. I was like, I may as well just watch this. So I watched Godfather 1 and 2. And then I went back. It was deleted, obviously. It was cut to pieces because it was network. But I went back after that because I liked it. I went back. I watched the original versions of it on film, uncut. So that was good. And then Willy Wonka also. And I fell in love with that movie as well. So that always comes in my head also. What the hell is? Oh, Doomsday Clock. Comic-wise, I remember the great one-shot Gotham by Gaslight, which was it would call an Elseworld book, where you take DC superheroes and put them in different times and stuff like that, and are totally different just to do something different. That's why it's called Elseworlds. Mike Mignola is one of my favorite artists, and this was before he created Hellboy. He and Brian Augustin wrote it, and Mike Mignola drew a one-shot called Gotham by Gaslight, which had Batman in Victorian England taking on Jack the Ripper. It was gorgeous, moody, and it came out the day before Thanksgiving. I bought it, and I took it with me because we were going up to my Aunt Jane's house in New Jersey. That was one of the years. There have been two Thanksgivings where I've gone to my Aunt Jane's house, and I've gotten a stomach virus or sick. I don't know how, and I don't know why, but it always happens up at my Aunt Jane's house. And I got sick also on New Year's Day, excuse me. It was New Year's Eve into New Year's Day, right? No, it was New Year's Day into the next day. So I remember reading that while I was ill over and over again because I loved it. So I remember that. Also, comic book related, Paul Dini, who was one of the creators of the Batman animated series, he also wrote some comic books, and he wrote these giant, it was literally about this big, giant books that were painted by Alex Ross, who's a really good artist. And he would release these books once a year around Thanksgiving, and each was a one-shot story. And they focus on the big DC characters. They did a Superman called Peace on Earth. I forget what the Batman one is called. They did a Wonder Woman one. And then I think they did a Justice League one. And it's just gorgeous artwork, fun story, and it always came out the day before Thanksgiving. So I always would get it that Wednesday before Thanksgiving and read it. It was one of those, huge. I'm not going to run back there and pull when I got them back there. But they were huge. They're gorgeous looking. So I remember that. I already talked to you about the opening of Cards, Comics, and Collectibles and stuff like that. So there was a new tradition this year. The Doomsday Clock #1 came out the day before Thanksgiving this year, which is potential to be a classic in the making. It's the first issue of a 12-issue miniseries where the Watchmen, you all know about the Watchmen. The Watchmen are going to be bleeding into the DC universe proper, and this is the storyline that's going to do that. Good artwork by Gary Frank, and of course Jeff Johns, who hasn't written anything in a while, wrote the story as well. So it's going to be interesting. I haven't read it yet, so I'm going to check that out as well. So those are all things that I remember about Thanksgiving. There was also one Thanksgiving I remember in '93. My sister, as I said, my sister and brother-in-law celebrating 24 years of marriage on the 20th of November. Well, when they got married on Saturday, the 20th of November, and I've already told the story about my sister's wedding, about how I was hungover, and I'm not going to go through that again here. That's a story for another time down the line when you guys have all forgotten about it. But it was on 20th, which is a Saturday, so that would mean 21st Sunday, 22nd Monday, 23rd Tuesday, 24th Wednesday. The Thanksgiving was 25th of November that year, 93. And again, this was before I'd met Dawn, and I was in college, and I was down for my sister's wedding and then Thanksgiving. Well, I was down for my sister's wedding, and then I went back that Sunday, and then went to school Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. My dad picked me up Wednesday and dropped me off at my mom's house, I think. Yes, because I don't think I spent the night at my dad's house that night. I think he just picked me up and dropped me off to make it easier for my mom. And then I spent Thanksgiving with my mom. And because my sister and brother-in-law had gotten what they wanted for their wedding feast was a Thanksgiving dinner. They had turkey, potatoes, cranberries. My brother-in-law Adam loves Thanksgiving. It's like his favorite holiday because it's food related. So they wanted that for their wedding. So that was their food. So my mom was like, we just had a big turkey meal for Thanksgiving. Do you want turkey for Thanksgiving? And I really didn't. I was like, I don't care. She's like, okay, we're going to have spaghetti. So we had spaghetti that year. So that's something I remember also. So that's my Thanksgiving, and I am really sad because, Wednesday night at 4:30 when I'm done work, I got the whole 4-day weekend ahead of me. I was like, oh, it's going to be great. I'll be able to sleep in. I'm going to have a lot of fun. There's going to be a lot of things going on. It's going to be great. And all in all, it has been, but here we are at just about 11 o'clock on a Saturday night. This is live. You might be watching this Monday or Tuesday. But regardless, when I did this live, it's almost 11 p.m. on a Saturday night, which means I've only got 1 hour left before it's Sunday. And then I got 24 hours before it's Monday. And then I got to get up at 5 a.m. again and go into work. And I don't have another break until Christmas. And that's not even a 4-day weekend. It's a 3-day weekend. So we get Friday, Saturday, and Monday, or rather Saturday, Sunday, and then Christmas is on a Monday. And then we come back to work on Tuesday, the 26th, work until the then we have another 3-day weekend at the end. So we do 26th, 27th, 28th, 29th. And we're off 30th, 31st, the 1st of January, and then it's the new year. And I'll have another 4-day weekend until Thanksgiving next year. Unless I take a day off before a 3-day weekend, like some people do, like Labor Day. Some people take that Friday off. Like this year, I took that Friday off, so I had a 4-day weekend because my stepbrother was getting married. So I had a 4-day weekend for Labor Day. And so if you do that, or you do it for Memorial Day, or you do it for Easter, or whatever, whenever you have these 3-day weekends, that's the only way you can get the 4-day weekend again, is if you take a vacation day. This one is straight up, I don't have to take a vacation day. It's a 4-day weekend, and it's almost over. Now, I got a lot of stuff planned for tomorrow. As I said, my kids are going to be watching The Lion King, so my wife and I are going to run around and do maybe some Christmas shopping, get some more Christmas decorating done. Speaking of which, we got our new Christmas tree. We needed a new artificial Christmas tree. Our one we've had for about 10 years, the lights have all burned out, and I've had to throw more lights on, and it hasn't looked good, and it's old and weary. And I mean, it's still useful, but the lights just don't work. And I'm not a light person. I can't do the lights on the tree. They have to be pre-lit, which they are. So I got one of those. So brand new tree set up. It's ready to rock and roll. We got a new inflatable. It's the Minions doing some sort of Christmas, putting a star like on top of the Christmas tree, but one of the Minions is falling over and it's lit up. So that's always fun. And my mom got us last year, the hot thing where you display the lights onto the whole house. We got one of those, and I set that up. So our whole house is covered in lights. We've got this inflatable. We got the Christmas tree up in our bay window. I'm going to switch out the lights I have hanging in the window to our icicle lights tomorrow, and then we'll decorate the rest of the inside of the house. I have a garland that's lit up over our mantle and the fireplace, along with our nativity scene. I have our wine rack covered in red and white red and white wine, red and white colored lights. Got that covered up as well. And then we're going to hang some stockings, hang some other stockings. I pull out my bobbleheads and Funko Pops and stuff like that. And it's going to be Christmassy, really great. I've already thrown on the Christmas music, listened to it a little bit. It's a funny story about that one. So Black Friday, after the comic book store, where I went to the grand reopening, I had to go to GameStop to get some stuff for the kids for Christmas. And it wasn't too crowded. So I was driving to GameStop, which is about 10 minutes away from the house. So I put on the Christmas music. It was the first time I put on Christmas music since last year. And so I'm listening to music in my car, and then I get to the parking lot, and I just pull in the parking spot, and I'm only gonna be a few minutes. I'm gonna get what I need, and then jump back in, do some grocery shopping, and then I'm home for the rest of the day. So I'm not gonna take the CD out, because I'm gonna listen to it when I go back to home and go back to the grocery store, which is 10 minutes the other way. So I had the Christmas music going, and I park, and I turn off my car, but the music's still going, and I open the door, and it shuts off the music, and I close it. I get what I need from GameStop, and I go back in the car, and I turn on the engine, and as I'm getting ready to go, the music comes back on, and it was at like a drum beat, and it scared the shit out of me. It went, and then it started into the Christmas. It was a loud Christmas song. I was like, what the? It literally made me jump. I was like, what the hell was that? And it was like, oh, it's my music. I was like, damn, you had it on a little too loud there, son. So that was good. That was interesting. So we got that. So we got the new Christmas tree up. I posted a picture of it when I was telling people to come watch the show, which only one person has, and they left about an hour ago. Case Ross 6 dislikes already. Oh well. Try to make it 7. So there's that. So I've got a couple. See, I got about half hour left. I might end soon because I got big plans for tonight. Holidays, space. All right, so then I got holidays, space, and Walking Dead. So let's start with holidays. When I do this show, I do solo shows. I've talked to you about this a million times. I'm going to keep talking about it. There is something called Check I Day, which is a actual website you can go to. You can look for it in your search engine, and it'll take you to a place that lists every holiday, because every day is literally a holiday. It might not be like a Thanksgiving or Christmas or Halloween or anything like that, but there are weird holidays. And they also have a Twitter feed that they have also, where they also post every holiday for the day. So I always read these when I do my solo shows like this. So today's bizarre holidays for November 25th are International Aura Awareness Day, International Day for the Elimination of Violence Against Women, and National Parfait Day, Shopping Reminder Day, and Small Business Saturday, which I talked about earlier, which is a pretty good deal. And that's it for today. Friday was Black Friday, Brownie Locks Day, Buy Nothing Day, Celebrate Your Unique Talent Day, DB Cooper Day, Fur Free Friday, Maize, M-A-I-Z-E Day, meaning corn, National Day of Listening, National Flossing Day, National Leftovers Day, National Native American Heritage Day, National Sardines Day, National Use Even If Seal is Broken Day. What the hell is that? It's Sinky Day, was the 24th. It's Your Welcome Giving Day. Huh? That was the 24th. The 23rd obviously was Thanksgiving. It was also Doctor Who Day. Eat a Cranberry Day. Fibonacci Day. National Cashew Day. National Day of Mourning was the 23rd. National Espresso Day. Thanksgiving, obviously. I'm not going to do the 22nd because that's too far back. So those are those types of holidays. Now let's look at tomorrow's. They have a link to their website. So I'm going to click on that. And I'm going to click on the date. Move it to tomorrow. Tomorrow is Good Grief Day. National Cake Day. Oh, and that's it. Huh. Only 2 days tomorrow. So National Cake Day is tomorrow and Good Grief Day. It's Good Grief Day because 4-day week is ending. Weekend is ending. So that's that. So checkiday.com or at checkiday will get you that. Or just follow my Twitter feeds at Holodill, at Dylan Proco. I always post them every day. I try to remember when I get up in the morning, I try to do it. I try to do it all the time early in the morning when I get up, but sometimes I forget, and it'll show up eventually in my feed. So there you go. Holidays are done. It's all about space. A lot of interesting stuff happened in space over the last week or so. NASA pictured something coming out of a black hole, which nobody thought was possible. So that just opens up a whole other can of worms about what was coming out of a black hole. It was a purple spark or something, so they don't know if it was a ship or if it was some sort of chemical, if it was a rejection, it was a part of the black hole, we don't know, but something literally came out of a black hole, which everyone thought was impossible to do. So there's something that can get out of a black hole if necessary. Interesting. A fireball crisscrossed across the eastern seaboard on November 24th. That was Thanksgiving, right? No. That was yesterday, wasn't it? That was yesterday, yeah. Today's 25th. Yep. That was yesterday. So yesterday, a fireball crisscrossed across the United States. I think the path went from like North Carolina up to like New Jersey. I didn't see it. It was the middle of the day, so I didn't see it either. I was not in the right place to see it or whatever, but apparently there were enough people on the East Coast who saw it, so that's interesting. Usually it'd probably just be a meteor of some kind. Speaking of meteors, an oblong meteor from another galaxy is entering our galaxy. It's literally oblong. It's about that, well, not that big. It's much bigger than that, but it's long ways. Like it looks like that. And people are fascinated by that because it is the first item, I guess they know this, that is not from our galaxy. It's an interstellar traveler, even though it is just a meteorite that's oblong. Or is it? It does kind of look like a rocket, and it's heading our way. So we'll see. There's also been a hole in the sun's atmosphere that shot a lot of solar wind at us. I don't know. It doesn't really affect us, I guess, because I haven't seen or felt anything different. I don't feel sick or anything. So two more things, and then let's go. Just to be real quick, the Death of Superman comic book story was 25 years ago this week. I'll always remember that it was a huge gamble at the time. They actually kill off Superman, and they kept him dead for about a year. The creative team behind it, after they did the Death of Superman storyline that led to Superman dying, they did World Without a Hero, which was the aftermath of what happened now that Superman's dead. How is the world reacting? The best story out of that comes that Dan Jurgens, who was the writer-artist for Superman at the time, every year around Christmas time would do a Metropolis mailbag story, which is one of the best stories that he's ever done. Every year it was a different story. Basically, once a year, Superman goes to the Metropolis post office, where there is a room just filled with letters addressed to Superman. And he literally goes in there and reads every one of them and answers them. He either answers them or they're asking for help, and he goes and he helps them. So it's really a neat thing. So what they did was World Without Superman, not World Without a Hero, World Without Superman. So during the World Without Superman storyline, obviously since he died around Thanksgiving, it was around Christmas time. So the Justice League ended up going to the post office in Metropolis and doing the once a year post office read of Superman's letters, and they went off and helped out. So Wonder Woman did this, and Batman did this, and Aquaman did this, and the Flash did this, stuff like that, to keep the tradition going and to keep giving faith like that. So then they took a break from Superman for a couple months, and then they did the Reign of the Superman. I'm sorry, Reign of the Superman was the next storyline, and that storyline had 4 super beings show up that all looked like different versions of Superman. There was Steel, who was a armored looking Superman. Turned out to be John Henry, who was a friend of Superman's. He ended up getting his own series. There was the cyborg Superman, who was half human, half cyborg, and he ended up being a bad guy. There was Superboy, who was a clone of Superman, but had all of his powers. And then there was the Kryptonian Superman, who also turned out to be a bad guy also. So that had a big storyline about that. And then it was the return of Superman, where he came back to life and he had to deal with the evil Superman, and then he came back to life and how that happened with that. So it was a interesting for the time story, and it was a period in DC where the 90s they decided to tear down their characters and bring them back up. I don't remember if they did that with Wonder Woman. I know they killed Wonder Woman off at one time, but turned her into a goddess. But they killed Superman, and then with Batman, they broke his back so that you had Azrael become Batman, and he became a vicious, mean, killing machine Batman. So regular Batman had to come back and beat him, but that was like a year-long storyline. The Spider Clone saga, which had nothing to do with DC, but it was over the Marvel side, but they saw, hey, these big game-changer stories featuring our big characters are happening, so they came up, Spider-Man came up with a story about the clone. That was a whole different ball of wax. And then right around the time of the turn of the century, you had the No Man's Land storyline where Gotham City was cut off from the world for a year, and it was turned into a no man's land. And then there was also, when it turned to 2000, Metropolis became a literal futuristic city with all kinds of futuristic stuff that Brainiac had created, but that didn't last long because Brainiac turned it into a futuristic city with all this futuristic stuff, but was using it to control humans, stuff like that. So that was interesting. So in the end, it's a good storyline, and it took about a year to tell the whole story, which is good. And it was just great creative teams and just a great story. And it's 25 years later, it still resonates, still a pretty interesting story. I think that leads us to The Walking Dead, and I think I'm done, and hopefully something else is going to be happening. Yeah. Because she's still up talking to somebody. I'm 2 weeks behind in Walking Dead. I was going to try to watch it this weekend, but things happened and I haven't gotten around to doing it. I still have tomorrow. I doubt I'm going to watch it tomorrow. So I'll be 3 weeks behind, but I'll watch it in time for me and Tony Soul to discuss it on the next episode of The Snooze. But I know 2 weeks ago, and this is a spoiler for those who haven't seen it yet, 2 weeks ago, Shiva, the CGI tiger, was killed defending his master. And the internet went absolutely bonkers. People were like saying, that's it, I'm done with this show. They killed off the most interesting character, and what a terrible thing. And I was always on the fence about the show. Now I'm not going to watch the show ever again because of the death of a CGI tiger, who, to be honest, really wasn't in the series all that much. It was in it a few times. And it's a great character, and yes, and it's sad. It was a sad story, but you know what? The whole series is filled with sad stories, and this was just the time. Shiva was going to die eventually because she dies in the comics, so she was going to die anyway. So they just pushed it up a little bit earlier than expected, and that was it. And the internet just went absolutely apeshit over it. And so people saying, I'm never going to watch the show again, and that was it. That was the final nail in the coffin for me. I can't watch this. It's a CGI tiger who was not in the series all that much. You guys need to get a grip. If you don't want to watch the show, don't watch the show. Don't try to find an excuse to not watch it anymore when the death of a CGI tiger makes you go, I don't watch it anymore. But the death of a gay character doesn't really affect you all that much. Not that I'm saying you're racist or anti-gay people, but I'm just saying, when a human dies, I don't really hear a lot of people saying they were boycotting the show. It was different when Glenn and Abraham died because those two people, and they died brutally. I heard some people say that. But when other characters died on the show, some favorites like that, a lot of them were just like, oh, well, it happens. They were big characters. They were my characters. But it was still, they were human characters who died. And in the end, let's face it, we know the character didn't really die because he's an actor. He didn't really die. It's all acting. It's a movie, TV show. There's no such thing as zombies. So why have a big uproar over a CGI tiger? It honestly, it boggled my mind. Now, the other thing that drives me crazy about the show is that everyone seems to be under the impression that The Walking Dead should be a show about zombies. and that because the show has been getting away from that and focusing more on humans being mean to humans, and the zombies have been in the background. Like, man, this show sucks. It's lost its way. It doesn't even know what it's talking about. If you know anything, and I'm not trying to be mean or anything, but we've discussed this before. It's in the comics. Robert Kirkman has said this publicly before, and he's even mentioned it in the show, literally. This show was never, ever about zombies. Despite the name of it, The Walking Dead refers to the people who are still alive, because they're still alive and they're still walking, but they're going to die anyway, and when they do, they'll turn to these zombies. But it's not about the zombies. It's about survival. The show has always been about survival. The comic has always been about survival. Robert Kirkman, who created the comic and the TV show, said it's all about survival. The zombies are secondary to the story. So when I see people saying, oh, they got back, on, in their way with focusing more on the zombies because that's what the show's about, or, I hate this episode because there were hardly any zombies in it, and this show about zombies. It's not a zombie show, despite what you may think. It isn't. It's a human survival show. Always has been. It's been everywhere. When it first came out, Kirkman doing his, talking about it. Even Frank Darabont talking about it also. It's not about the zombies. It's about survival. It always has been. The comic has always been about survival. That's why you focus more on the people, because Kirkman was more interested in the fact that what if somebody was introduced to a situation like this and how they would survive. How would you survive? Would you change to do what you needed to do to survive? Would you kill other people to protect your family? Because these people are trying to steal your food or try to kill them to eat them, whatever. Would you go down that path and kill other people to protect yourself? What would you do to survive? Would you get a bat wrapped in barbed wire and beat the brains in of people who are trying to kill your people? That's what the show's about. It's about human survival. It is not about zombies. The zombies have always been secondary in the background. Now, yes, they've shown the zombies en masse and have focused on episodes about zombies, stuff like that, but the zombies are a background character, our background threat. They're the threat that the whole series is based upon. So they're still going to be around, but the show is not a zombie show. It's about survival. It always has been, and about how people change to survive. And I hate to break to you, if you think this show has been a zombie show, then you really haven't been watching the show and don't understand what's going on with it. Now, no one's going to watch this episode of my show, and no one's going to think about it, but I just wanted to put it out there. That's the truth about The Walking Dead. The Walking Dead is a show about human survival. The zombies are just the catalyst for what the survival story is, and are in the background. That's it. End of story. Done. They're not the main threat. Are they the main threat in some of the stories? Absolutely they are, because why not? You're showing how they're surviving against the zombies. But what Kirkman's most interested in when he was writing the comics, and now what they're hoping Gimple and all that are focusing more on, is how people change to survive. And that's what you get with The Walking Dead. I think I'm done. It's getting late, even though I do have one more day off. I want to spend some time with my wife, if you know what I mean. She's on the phone, so hopefully, we'll be heading upstairs soon, and we'll see what happens. Not that you need to know any of that stuff, but I figure I talk about the stuff, I might get some more views, or at least 7 dislikes. All right, y'all, have a good rest of your Thanksgiving weekend. It's now officially the holiday season, Christmas time. Go ahead, blast your Christmas music, get your Christmas decorations up, start buying your Christmas presents, absolutely. Go hog wild. Thanksgiving's over. It is now Christmas's time. Go hog wild. Watch your Christmas movies. Watch your Christmas TV shows. Watch old episodes of Dylan Knows that have Christmas themes. I'm probably going to be posting a lot of those over the next few weeks. Keep watching this show. Next week, I think, is going to be my comic book show. I have to verify where things are. But MJ should be back for next week's show. We'll see how things go. And then Jerry and I will do our top 10 Star Wars characters, since The Last Jedi comes out in about 3 weeks. So we're doing our top 10 Star Wars characters, plus Star Wars is 40 years old this year. And then we'll see where we go from there. All right? Thank you. Have a good night. I hope to have a good night.